Respond to Nothing, the Ancient Art of Dangerous Calm. Part 1. The Ancient Truth. Chapter 1. The Men Who Could Not Be Moved. In the year 1274, a Mongol fleet of 900 ships carrying 40,000 warriors appeared on the horizon off the coast of Japan, the largest invasion force the island nation had ever faced. Word reached a samurai lord while he was practicing calligraphy in his chamber. His generals burst through the door, voices raised, panic spreading like fire. The Mongols were coming. They were vastly outnumbered. They needed orders. They needed action. They needed him to do something. The samurai lord did not look up from his work. His brush moved across the rice paper with the same steady rhythm it had maintained for the past hour. One stroke. Another. The character taking shape beneath his hand. His breathing unchanged. His expression unmoved. He finished the character, set down his brush, cleaned it methodically. Only then did he look up at his generals. "Bring me my armor," he said. His voice carried no more urgency than if he were ordering tea. His generals stood frozen, unable to reconcile his absolute calm with the catastrophe bearing down on them. They had come expecting a warrior's rage, a commander's fire, the mobilization of every resource toward survival. Instead, they found a man moving through the chaos as if walking through a garden. That samurai lord did not survive the war. The Mongols landed. The battles were brutal. Many died. But something else survived. Something more durable than any single life. His calm survived. It was passed down through generations, becoming the foundation of an entire warrior philosophy. The story was told and retold, not as a tale of military strategy, but as a teaching about the nature of power itself. The men who could not be moved changed history. The men who reacted to everything are forgotten. This is not an accident. This is a pattern that repeats across every culture, every era, every context where power is negotiated and destiny is forged. Let me show you what I mean. In Rome, during the height of the empire, a man named Marcus Aurelius ruled as emperor. He faced plague that killed millions, betrayal from trusted advisors, constant war on the frontiers, the slow collapse of systems he had spent his life trying to preserve. He could have raged. He could have despaired. He could have let the weight of the world crush him into reactive chaos. Instead, he wrote private journals, never intended for publication. Meditations on how to remain unmoved by circumstances he could not control. Instructions to himself on maintaining composure when everything demanded reaction. 2,000 years later, those journals are studied by generals, CEOs, athletes, anyone seeking to master themselves under pressure. Why? Because Marcus understood something most people never learn. The only thing you truly control is your response. Everything else is weather passing through. In feudal Japan, an entire warrior class built their philosophy on a concept they called Fudoshin, the immovable mind. The samurai did not train just their bodies. They trained their capacity to remain psychologically unmoved in the face of death itself. They practiced meditation where any flinch, any reaction, any loss of composure was considered failure. And the greatest swordsmen were not the fastest or the strongest. They were the ones who could face an opponent without their heart rate increasing, who could stare at the edge of a blade and feel nothing but calm observation. This was not bravado. This was training. Deliberate cultivation of a nervous system that did not react to threats the way ordinary men react. Why? Because the reactive samurai was the dead samurai. The moment you flinched, you telegraphed your move. The moment you hesitated from fear, you created an opening. The moment you let anger drive your sword, you lost precision. The immovable mind was not philosophy, it was survival technology. In the deserts of Egypt and Syria during the early centuries of Christianity, men retreated into caves and wilderness. They were called the Desert Fathers. Monks who sat in silence for decades, subjecting themselves to extremes of isolation, discomfort, and psychological pressure. Emperors sought their counsel, not because these monks knew politics or strategy, but because they had become psychologically fortified in ways that baffled the powerful men of their age. These monks had mastered something the emperors had not: the ability to sit with discomfort without needing it to change, to face their own thoughts without distraction, to remain still when everything in their biology screamed for action. They became unshakable, and in a world of chaos, the unshakable man becomes a source of wisdom. Rome, Japan, the Egyptian desert, different cultures, different eras, different contexts, but the same discovery. The man who masters non-reaction accumulates power. The man who reacts to everything loses it. This is not coincidence. This is pattern recognition across human history. Wherever you find the most dangerous men, the most effective leaders, the most psychologically dominant individuals, you find this same trait: the ability to remain still when everything demands reaction. But here is what you need to understand. These men did not suppress their emotions. They were not robots. They were not cold or disconnected or incapable of feeling. They felt everything, possibly more intensely than the reactive men around them. The difference was this: they transcended the compulsion to express what they felt. Most men are slaves to this compulsion. A feeling arises and they must act on it immediately. Anger appears and they must speak from it. Fear emerges and they must react to it. Our hurt surfaces and they must retaliate from it. The ancient masters felt all of these things, but somewhere between feeling and action, they inserted choice. This is the art we have lost. Modern culture has convinced you that expression equals authenticity, that if you are not constantly voicing your emotions, constantly reacting, constantly being real with your feelings, you are somehow being dishonest or repressed. This is not evolution, this is regression. We have abandoned hard-won wisdom for the comfort of emotional incontinence. Think about what we celebrate now. The person who tells it like it is, regardless of consequence. The person who does not hold back their emotions. The person who keeps it real by reacting to everything they feel. We call this authentic. The ancients would have called it slavery. Because when you are compelled to react, you are not free. You are controlled by whatever stimuli cross your path. You are a puppet, and your triggers are the strings. The result is a generation of men who cannot sit with discomfort for 30 seconds, who reach for their phones the moment they feel boredom, who need constant stimulation because silence feels like death, who are controlled by anyone willing to provoke them. You see this everywhere. A man receives criticism and must immediately defend himself. A man faces rejection and must immediately retaliate. A man encounters uncertainty and must immediately fill it with noise. None of this is strength. All of it is weakness disguised as authenticity. The reactive man is the controllable man. Push this button, get this response. He is as predictable as a machine, as manageable as a trained animal. And because he is controllable, he cannot accumulate power. Power flows away from him toward those who understand his patterns and exploit them. This has always been true, but it is more true now than ever before. Because the modern world is engineered to provoke you. Social media algorithms optimize to trigger outrage because outrage drives engagement. News cycles feeding on your fear because fear keeps you watching. Workplace dynamics rewarding those who can get under your skin because your reaction reveals your weakness. You are surrounded by systems designed to extract reactions from you. Every reaction you give is a transfer of power away from you and toward those systems. The ancients knew this, not about algorithms and social media, but about the fundamental dynamic. They understood that your response is your most valuable possession. They built entire civilizations on this understanding. We have built a culture that mocks it. This audiobook is a recovery mission. We are retrieving what was lost, restoring what was abandoned. The men who could not be moved are calling across the centuries, the Stoic emperors, the samurai masters, the desert monks, the generals who remained calm when their flanks collapsed. They are offering you the same training they gave themselves, the same practices that forged them into men who could not be controlled, could not be broken, could not be moved, but you need to understand what you are stepping into. This is not a self-help program. This is not a collection of tips and tricks for managing your emotions. This is not therapy. This is warfare training. Psychological warfare, the kind of training that transforms how you move through every interaction, every conflict, every negotiation for the rest of your life. The practices you will learn are old, some of them are brutal, all of them are effective. They work because the human nervous system has not changed in 10,000 years. The same training that forged warriors then will forge warriors now, but only if you practice. Reading this book will change nothing. Understanding these concepts will accomplish nothing. Knowledge without practice is just entertainment. The ancient masters did not read about calm. They built calm through daily, relentless practice, through sitting still when their bodies screamed to move, through remaining silent when their pride demanded speech, through facing discomfort without flinching until discomfort became irrelevant. That is the path. There is no shortcut. The question is whether you are ready to walk it. The samurai lord who calmly called for his armor while his generals panicked was not born with that composure. He built it, one practice session at a time, one moment of chosen non-reaction at a time, until the moment the Mongols arrived and his training revealed itself. He did not survive the war, but his calm did. It survived because he had transformed it from a skill into a teaching, from a personal achievement into a transmissible art. That art is what you are receiving now. The men who could not be moved are calling. It is time to answer. Chapter 2. The Dangerous Calm. There is a moment that occurs in every conflict, every negotiation, every confrontation, every test of wills. It is the moment when one party realizes they cannot reach the other. Their provocations land on nothing. Their attacks pass through empty air. Their manipulation finds no purchase. They are pushing buttons that do not work, pulling levers that are not connected to anything. In that moment, a transfer of power occurs. The calm one becomes dangerous, not because of what he might do, but because he cannot be controlled. This is the dangerous calm, and it terrifies those who encounter it. Let me show you why calm is dangerous. The reactive man is predictable. He is a machine with known inputs and outputs. Push this button, get this response. Insult his competence, he defends. Question his authority, he asserts. Challenge his identity, he attacks. He can be managed, directed, manipulated. Because his patterns are known, his reactions can be predicted and exploited. The calm man is different. He is unpredictable in a very specific way. You cannot force him to act. You do not know what he is thinking. You cannot read his next move. You insult him, and he does not defend. You challenge him, and he does not engage. You attack him, and he does not counter. Instead, he might ask a question. He might say nothing. He might wait. He might simply continue with what he was doing as if you had not spoken. This is destabilizing, because now you do not know where you stand. Did he not hear you? Did he not understand the severity of your challenge? Does he not care? Or is he so far above the interaction that your provocation did not even register as worthy of response? You cannot tell. and that uncertainty is power draining from you to him. In negotiation, the person who needs nothing from the interaction holds all the cards. The desperate party reveals themselves through their reactions. The calm party gathers information while giving nothing away. In conflict, the person who cannot be provoked cannot be controlled. Every attack that produces no response is energy wasted, leverage lost. In romance, the person who remains unmoved by games and tests becomes the prize everyone pursues. Scarcity of reaction creates value. This is why calm is dangerous, not because the calm man will hurt you, but because he will not give you what you need. He will not confirm your power through his reaction. He will not validate your significance through his emotional response. He will not play the game you are trying to force him into. And when someone cannot be controlled, they become dangerous to those who rely on control. Let me tell you about the 3 fears your calm triggers in others. The first fear is the fear of the unknown. Human beings are pattern recognition machines. We are constantly trying to predict what others will do based on their past behavior. This kept our ancestors alive. If that person reacted with anger last time I challenged them, they will probably react with anger this time. I can prepare accordingly. But when you do not react, you break the pattern. You become unpredictable, and unpredictability is threatening. Your silence becomes a mirror. Instead of your reaction filling the space, their own anxiety reflects back at them. They are left alone with their uncertainty. And most people cannot tolerate that. So they escalate. They provoke harder. They push more buttons, not because they want conflict, but because they need the familiar pattern restored. They need you to react so they can know where they stand. Your continued calm denies them this comfort. The second fear is the fear of inadequacy. If someone throws their best provocation at you and produces nothing, what does that say about their power? Every person operates with an internal model of their own significance. Part of that model is built on their ability to affect others, to move people, to get reactions. When you do not react, you challenge this model. If I can insult you and you do not flinch, if I can threaten you and you do not fear, if I can manipulate you and you do not bend, then what does that say about me? It says I am not as powerful as I thought. It says my tools do not work. It says I am inadequate to the task of controlling you. Most people cannot consciously articulate this, but they feel it, and that feeling makes them hostile to your calm. The third fear is the fear of misjudgment. People form assessments of you based on limited information. They think they know you. They think they understand your triggers, your weaknesses, your patterns. Your calm reveals they were wrong. If they thought you were easy to provoke and you are not, if they thought you needed their approval and you do not, if they thought you were controllable and you are not, then what else have they gotten wrong? This is destabilizing to their entire understanding of reality. If their read on you was incorrect, maybe their read on everything is incorrect. Maybe they do not understand people as well as they thought. Maybe they are not as perceptive as they believed. This creates cognitive dissonance, and people respond to cognitive dissonance with hostility. So your calm, which you might think would create peace, instead creates disturbance in those who encounter it. This is the paradox of soft power. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. Loudness is often compensation for a lack of inherent authority. The person who must shout to be heard has already revealed they are not confident others will listen. True power whispers. It does not need to announce itself. The most powerful person in any room is often the quietest. Not quiet from fear or submission, but quiet from choice. Quiet because they have nothing to prove, nothing to defend, a nothing that requires immediate expression. The dangerous calm is threatening precisely because it is quiet. It suggests reserves of strength that have not been tapped. It suggests self-possession that cannot be disturbed. It suggests a level of internal development that most people have not achieved. Those who have encountered it never forget. There is something about meeting a truly calm person, someone who cannot be moved by the usual provocations, that leaves an impression. Years later, they will remember. Not what the calm person said, but what they did not say. Not how they reacted, but how they did not react. And those who possess it never lose it. Once you have built genuine calm, once you have dissolved the compulsion to react, you cannot unknow that capacity. You might slip, you might have moments of reactivity. But you know the alternative exists. You have tasted freedom from compulsion, and you can return to it. Let me tell you a story. There is a general, name lost to history, but the story preserved, who received word during a battle that his army was surrounded, vastly outnumbered, multiple enemy forces closing in from all sides. His officers brought him this information expecting orders for retreat, for desperate defense, for some acknowledgement of the catastrophe unfolding. The general looked at the map, studied the positions for a moment, then looked up and said, "Excellent. Now we can attack in any direction." His calm was so absolute, his reframe so unexpected, that his officers' panic transformed into confidence in the space of a single sentence. They attacked. They won. Not because the tactical situation had changed, but because the psychological situation had changed. The general's calm had spread. His composure had become contagious. This is the other side of the paradox. Just as panic spreads from person to person, so does calm. When one person in a crisis maintains composure, that composure affects everyone around them. It creates a center of gravity. Others orient toward it unconsciously. The dangerous man chooses which one he spreads, panic or calm, chaos or stability, reaction or response. And this choice, this capacity to remain unmoved when everything demands movement, is what makes him dangerous, not dangerous in the sense of harmful. Dangerous in the sense of unable to be controlled. Think about what control requires. It requires predictability. It requires buttons that work when pushed. It requires someone who reacts. When you remove yourself from that equation, when you respond to nothing automatically, you have exited the game everyone else is playing. You are operating on a different board, by different rules, toward different ends. This is what makes you dangerous, not your capacity for harm, but your immunity to manipulation. When you cannot be provoked, you cannot be defeated. Because defeat requires you to make mistakes, and most mistakes come from reaction, not response. The reactive man makes decisions from emotion. The calm man makes decisions from clarity. Over time, over many iterations, the quality gap between these decisions compounds into entirely different lives. One man is controlled by his circumstances. The other chooses his responses to circumstances. Same events, different processing, different outcomes. In the world will always try to provoke you. This is not personal. This is how the world works. People will test you to see if you are controllable. Systems will pressure you to extract reactions. Situations will arise that demand emotional response. This will never stop. The question is not whether provocations will come. They will. The question is whether you will have built the capacity to receive them without reacting, to let them pass through you like wind through empty space. This capacity is the dangerous calm, and once you possess it, everything changes. Not because the world changes, but because you are no longer participating in the same game the world is playing. You have removed yourself from the board while remaining in the room. You have become dangerous. Chapter 3, The Void Response. A Zen master was teaching in a marketplace when a traveling merchant approached. The merchant was angry about something, drunk perhaps, looking for a target for his rage. He stopped in front of the master and began hurling insults, vicious personal attacks. He questioned the master's teaching, mocked his appearance, called him a fraud, a charlatan, a fool leading other fools. The master's students watched, waiting for their teacher to respond, to defend himself, to silence this drunk with wisdom or authority or at minimum some acknowledgement of the attack. The master stood in silence, not frozen silence, not tense silence, relaxed, receptive silence. As if the merchant were reciting poetry or describing the weather, the merchant, receiving no reaction, escalated. His insults became more creative, more personal, more designed to wound. The master continued his silence. Finally, exhausted or perhaps disturbed by the complete absence of effect, the merchant stopped. In the silence that followed, the master spoke for the first time. "If someone offers you a gift," he said, "and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The merchant, confused by the question, stammered, "To the one who offered it, I suppose." The master nodded. "I do not accept your anger. It remains yours." The merchant left, not in victory, not in defeat, but in confusion. He had tried to give something away and found no one willing to receive it. The students had witnessed something profound. They had watched a man disappear in attack through pure non-reception. This is the void response. Let me explain what it is and why it works. Most people receive provocations like a wall receives a ball. The ball hits the wall. The wall returns the energy. The ball bounces back. Action and reaction. Newton's third law playing out in human interaction. You insult me, I insult you back. You raise your voice, I raise mine. You attack, I defend or counterattack. Energy received, energy returned. This is the reactive pattern. It is automatic, it is exhausting, and it gives the original provocateur exactly what they wanted. Engagement. The void response is different. The void receives provocations like empty space receives a ball. The ball passes through, it finds nothing to hit, nothing to bounce off of, nothing to return its energy. It simply passes through empty space and continues until its energy dissipates. This is not ignoring. Ignoring is a form of reaction. You are actively working to not hear, not see, not acknowledge. There is effort involved. There is internal resistance. The void response is genuine non-reception. You receive the provocation as information, not as an attack. You observe it without participating in it. You let it pass through your awareness without it catching on anything. The attack requires your participation to exist. Without your reaction, it is just noise, just words, just someone's emotional state being broadcast into the air. Let me show you the mechanics of how this works. The first mechanism is mental reframe. When someone attacks you, your automatic interpretation is, this is a threat. This requires defense or counterattack. This is about me. The void response reframes. This is information. This is data about the other person's state. This is not actually about me. If someone insults your intelligence, the reactive interpretation is, they are saying I am stupid. I must defend my intelligence. The void interpretation is, they are experiencing insecurity or anger that they are expressing through an attack on intelligence. This tells me something about their state, not about my actual intelligence. This is not denial. You are not pretending the attack did not happen. You are recategorizing what it is, shifting it from threat to information. Information does not require a reaction, it just requires processing. The second mechanism is ownership rejection. Most people automatically take ownership of whatever is directed at them. Someone throws anger at you and you catch it. Now it is your anger too. Someone projects their shame onto you, and you absorb it. Now you carry their shame. The void response refuses ownership. Their anger belongs to them. Their words belong to them. Their projection belongs to them. The Zen master understood this. I do not accept your anger. It remains yours. This is not arrogance. This is boundary clarity. You are not obligated to take possession of what others try to give you. You can observe an insult without internalizing it. You can hear criticism without accepting it as truth. You can witness someone's emotional state without making it your responsibility to fix or match. The third mechanism is identity separation. Most reactivity comes from identity threat. When someone attacks you, what they are really attacking is not you, but their perception of you. If someone says you are incompetent, they are not describing objective reality. They are describing their current perception, which is filtered through their mood, their biases, their limited information, their emotional state. Your actual competence has not changed because of their words. Only their perception has been voiced. The void response separates your identity from others' perceptions. You know who you are. You know your capabilities. You know your character. External opinions are interesting data points, sometimes useful, sometimes not. But they do not define you. They certainly do not threaten you. When your identity is internally validated, external commentary becomes weather. It passes through, it does not stick. The fourth mechanism is timeline expansion. In the moment of provocation, everything feels urgent, important, requiring immediate response. The void response expands the timeline. In 100 years, everyone involved in this interaction will be dead. In 10 years, this moment will be completely forgotten. In 10 months, it will be barely remembered. In 10 days, it will be irrelevant. Respond accordingly. This is not nihilism, this is perspective. Most provocations are utterly trivial in the scope of a human life. Treating them as trivial is not avoidance, it is accuracy. Now let me give you the practice protocol. When you are provoked, the first step is to mentally step back. Imagine you are observing the situation from 10 feet away. You can see yourself, you can see the other person, you can see the interaction. This creates psychological distance. You are no longer inside the experience being buffeted by it. You are outside it observing it. Second, label what is happening. This is an attempt to provoke anger. This is a dominance display. This is insecurity being projected outward. The labeling engages your prefrontal cortex, which reduces amygdala activity. Emotion decreases when you name it. This is neuroscience, not philosophy. Third, ask yourself, do I choose to receive this? Not should I respond? But do I choose to receive this into my awareness as something that affects me? The answer is almost always no. You can observe it without receiving it. You can note it without absorbing it. You can process it as information without making it part of your emotional state. Fourth, if you respond at all, respond from choice, not compulsion. The void speaks only when it has something to say. Not because it feels compelled to fill silence. Not because it must defend itself. Not because reaction is automatic. If there is strategic value in responding, respond. If there is something that genuinely needs to be said, say it. But from calm, from choice, from center. Most of the time, there is nothing to say. The void silence is the complete response. Now let me warn you about the common mistakes. The first mistake is performing void. This is fake calm with internal chaos. On the outside, you appear composed. On the inside, you are screaming. You are suppressing, not transforming. You are white-knuckling your way through the interaction. This is not the void response. This is exhausting, and it will eventually crack. The genuine void response is not suppression. It is actual non-reception. You are not trying not to feel angry. You are genuinely not receiving the provocation as something that warrants anger. The difference is internal. Only you know which one you are doing, but your body knows too. Suppression creates tension. Non-reception creates relaxation. The second mistake is using void as punishment. This is cold silence deployed to hurt the other person, to make them feel your withdrawal as a weapon. This is not void. This is passive aggression. This is manipulation through withheld engagement. The genuine void is not about them. It is about you. You are not withholding to hurt them. You are simply not receiving because you have chosen not to. The third mistake is void as avoidance. This is hiding from conflict, using non-response as a way to escape difficult conversations or genuine problems. The void response is not avoidance. It is mastery. You can engage with difficult topics from calm. You can address real problems from center. You can have hard conversations without being reactive. The difference is that you are engaging from strength, not from compulsion. You are choosing to address the issue, not being forced to react to the provocation. These are the mechanics, the mental frameworks, the practice protocol. But understanding is not enough. You must practice. The next time someone insults you, practice the void response. Observe the insult passing through your awareness without catching on anything. Notice your impulse to defend or attack. Choose not to act on that impulse. The next time someone tries to provoke anger, practice non-reception. Label what is happening. Ask if you choose to receive it. Let it pass through. At first, you will fail. The reactive pattern is deeply grooved. You will catch yourself mid-reaction and realize you forgot to implement the protocol. That is fine. You are building awareness. Keep practicing. Eventually, you will catch yourself before the reaction, then during the choice point. Then the choice will become automatic. Then it will become unnecessary because provocation will stop producing the impulse to react. This is the progression. Effortful void, practiced void, natural void. The ancient masters understood something profound. Empty space cannot be cut. Water cannot be struck. The void cannot be harmed. When you become the void in moments of provocation, you achieve what armor cannot provide. Complete invulnerability. Not because you are defended, but because there is nothing to defend. The attack requires a target. Remove the target, and the attack becomes meaningless. This is the void response. The merchant's anger remained his because the master refused to accept it. Your provocateur's aggression will remain theirs when you refuse to receive it. This is not weakness. This is the highest form of strength, the strength to let attacks pass through empty space while you remain unmoved. Chapter 4. The Ancient Stillness Practices. In a monastery high in the mountains of Japan, there is a meditation hall where monks practice zazen. Seated meditation. For hours at a time, they sit in absolute stillness. But this is not gentle meditation. This is not peaceful visualization or guided relaxation. Senior monks walk between the rows carrying a long wooden stick. If a practitioner moves, if they shift position, if they break their stillness in any way, the stick comes down across their shoulders. Not brutally, but firmly. The message is clear. Movement is failure. Stillness under discomfort is the entire point. This practice has continued for 1,000 years. It has produced men who could face death without flinching, men who could sit calmly while their world burned, men who developed such control over their nervous systems that physical pain became irrelevant. The method is brutal. The results are undeniable. Because the ancients understood something that modern comfort culture has forgotten. Physical stillness creates mental stillness. Your body and mind are not separate systems. They are one integrated system constantly communicating. When your body is reactive, fidgeting, tensing, shifting, your mind receives a message. We are under threat. We need to move. We need to act. When your body is still, even in discomfort, your mind receives a different message. We are safe. We can settle. We have the capacity to remain unmoved. Training the body to remain still is training the mind to remain unmoved. You are approaching the target from the back door. This is why the ancient stillness practices work. They are not philosophical exercises. They are nervous system training, deliberate reconditioning of your automatic responses. Let me teach you the 5 practices. These are old. Some are uncomfortable, all are effective. Practice 1. The stone seat. This comes from the Stoics, though similar practices exist in many traditions. Find a position where you can sit with your spine straight, chair, floor, meditation cushion. The specific position matters less than your ability to maintain it. Set a timer. Begin with 5 minutes. Your goal is absolute stillness. No movement, no scratching, no adjusting, no shifting weight. Your body will rebel. An itch will appear on your face. Your leg will start to ache. Your back will protest. You will want desperately to move. Do not move. Observe the urge to move. Note where it is in your body. Notice how it intensifies. Watch it crest, and then, if you do not act on it, begin to fade. This is the training. You are learning that discomfort is not emergency, that urges do not require action, that you can sit with something uncomfortable without needing to change it. When the timer ends, move slowly and deliberately, then reset for tomorrow. Build gradually. 5 minutes becomes 10. 10 becomes 15. Work up to 30 minutes of perfect stillness. This practice seems simple. It is not easy. Or your mind will offer you 1,000 reasons why you need to move. This itch is different. This pain might be serious. 5 more minutes will not matter. You can start over tomorrow. These are negotiations your mind is making. Do not accept them. The discomfort is the teacher. Your non-response is the lesson. Practice 2. The cold exposure. This comes from the Spartans, though cold has been used as training across cultures. Cold water triggers every survival instinct you have. The moment cold water hits your skin, your body wants to gasp, to tense, to escape. Remaining calm under cold trains your nervous system to dissociate discomfort from panic. Start simple. At the end of your normal shower, turn the water to cold. 30 seconds. That is all. Your body will scream at you. Your breath will want to become rapid and shallow. Every instinct will demand you step out of the stream. Do not step out. Instead, slow your breathing. Make it deliberate. Breathe in for 4 counts. Out for 6. Relax your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Make your body language communicate calm even while your biology is experiencing stress. 30 seconds. Then you can return to warm water or step out. Tomorrow, 30 seconds again. When that becomes manageable, increase to 1 minute. Then 90 seconds. Build to 3 minutes of cold exposure. Advanced version, ice baths. Fill a tub with cold water and ice. Submerge yourself. Start with 1 minute. Build to 10. Why does this work? Because your mind is learning. I can be in discomfort and remain calm. My panic response and my actual danger level are not connected. I control my response even when my biology is screaming. In this training transfers. When someone provokes you in a meeting, when you face a crisis, when pressure arrives, you have already trained your nervous system that activation does not require reaction. The cold taught you. Practice. 3. The delayed response. This comes from the samurai tradition, the practice of never responding immediately. For one entire day, pause for 3 full seconds before responding to anything anyone says to you. Not to think of your response, not to prepare your words, simply to practice the discipline of not immediately responding. Someone asks you a question, count to 3 before answering. Someone makes a statement, count to 3 before replying. Someone provokes you. Count to 3 before you do anything. This will feel awkward. The silence will feel like pressure. The other person might prompt you, "Hello, did you hear me?" That is fine. You are training. The awkwardness is part of the process. What you are building is the capacity to insert space between stimulus and response. That space is where freedom lives. The samurai understood that the man who rushes into response has already lost. He is reactive. He is being controlled by external timing. The man who can pause, who can create deliberate space, is choosing his response. He is in control. 3 seconds, every response, for 1 full day, then make it a permanent habit for any response that matters. Important conversations, difficult moments, potential conflicts. Always pause. The pause is the practice. Practice 4, the insult meditation. This is Stoic practice, mental rehearsal of adversity before it arrives. Each morning, before you begin your day, imagine 3 insults you might receive. Make them specific, personal, the kind that would trigger you. Then visualize receiving them with perfect calm. See yourself hearing the words. Notice the impulse to react arising. Watch yourself choose not to act on that impulse. See yourself remaining still. Neutral expression. Relaxed body. No verbal response or a simple, calm acknowledgement. Rehearse this. Make it vivid. Feel what it would feel like to remain unmoved by provocation. Why does this work? Because your brain cannot tell the difference between vivid imagination and actual experience. When you mentally rehearse the calm response, you are building the neural pathway for that response. Then, when similar provocations arrive in reality, you have already practiced. You have already been here in your mind. And the situation is not novel. It is familiar. What is rehearsed becomes reflex. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils, not to become anxious, but to become prepared. When you have already faced something mentally, it loses its power to shock you. You have removed the element of surprise. Practice 5, the fasting discipline. This comes from monastic traditions across cultures. Periodic fasting trains the mind that discomfort is not emergency, that hunger is just a sensation, not a crisis requiring immediate action. Start small. Skip 1 meal, breakfast or lunch. Go from after dinner to tomorrow's lunch with no food. Your body will send hunger signals. Your mind will offer reasons why you should eat. This is different from normal hunger. This might be unhealthy. You can fast tomorrow instead. Do not eat. Sit with the hunger, observe it, notice how it comes in waves, notice how it actually decreases if you do not fight it. You are training the same skill as all the other practices, the capacity to experience a strong biological impulse and not act on it. When you can sit with hunger, you can sit with anger. When you can tolerate physical discomfort, you can tolerate emotional discomfort. Build gradually. 1 meal becomes 2 meals. 16 hours becomes 24 hours. Some practitioners fast for 3 days. The body screams. The mind remains still. This is the practice. Now let me show you how these integrate. These 5 practices might seem disconnected. Sitting still, cold exposure, delayed response, mental rehearsal, fasting. But they are one practice with 5 expressions. The common thread, discomfort, arises. You do not respond, power accumulates. In stillness practice, the discomfort is physical. the urge to move, the ache, the itch. In cold exposure, the discomfort is survival instinct, the drive to escape. In delayed response, the discomfort is social pressure, the awkward silence. In insult meditation, the discomfort is imagined provocation. In fasting, the discomfort is hunger. Different sources, same training. Can you sit with this discomfort without needing to change it? Each time you answer yes, each time you choose stillness over reaction, you are building the capacity that transfers to everything else in your life. The man who can sit still for 30 minutes can sit still in a tense meeting. The man who can remain calm in ice water can remain calm under verbal attack. And the man who can pause 3 seconds before responding can pause when facing genuine crisis. The man who has rehearsed insults can receive real insults without flinching. The man who can sit with hunger can sit with any uncomfortable emotion. This is why the ancients built their training this way. They were not interested in theory. They were interested in transformation. And transformation requires practice. Daily, uncomfortable, relentless practice. Your mind will not change because you wish it to change. It will change because you train it to change. Start tomorrow. Choose one practice. Commit to it for 30 days. Do not skip. Do not negotiate. Do not make exceptions. The stone seat. 5 minutes of absolute stillness every morning. Or the cold exposure. 30 seconds of cold water at the end of every shower. Or the delayed response. 3-second pause before every reply for 1 full day. Or the insult meditation. 3 minutes every morning rehearsing calm responses. Or the fasting discipline. Skip 1 meal twice a week, choose one. Do it until it becomes natural. Then add another. These practices are 1,000 years old because they work. They work because the human nervous system has not changed in 10,000 years. What forged warriors then will forge warriors now, but only through practice. The ancient masters did not become unmovable through reading, through understanding, through intellectual agreement. They became unmovable through practice, through sitting still when every instinct screamed to move, through remaining calm when biology demanded panic, through creating space when social pressure demanded immediate reaction. That is the path. There is no other. Chapter 5. The Mask and the Mountain. There is an ancient teaching about 2 paths to calm, a paradox that confuses beginners but guides masters. The first path is the mask, learning to appear calm when you are not, controlling what others see while your internal state remains chaotic. The second path is the mountain, becoming so internally stable that calm is your natural state. No performance required. You simply are. Most men can only achieve the mask. The masters achieve the mountain. But here is the secret that changes everything. The mask, practiced long enough, becomes the mountain. Acting calm is the doorway to being calm. Let me show you what this means. The mask is external discipline. You train your body to display calm regardless of what you feel internally. This means controlling 4 elements. First, your facial expression. The reactive man's face is a billboard broadcasting every emotion. Anger tightens his jaw, fear widens his eyes, disgust wrinkles his nose, contempt raises one corner of his mouth. These micro-expressions flash across his face faster than conscious thought. 1/25th of a second. Too fast for him to control, fast enough for others to read subconsciously. The mask trains a neutral baseline. Relaxed jaw, not clenched. Steady eyes, not darting or staring hard. Unlocked shoulders, not hunched or rigid. Still hands, not fidgeting or clenched. This is not a frozen face. That looks robotic and off-putting. This is relaxed neutrality. The face of someone who is present, but not reacting. Practice this in a mirror. Find the expression that communicates, I am here, I am listening, I am unmoved. Hold it for 5 minutes. Notice which muscles want to tense. Relax them. Do this until neutral becomes your default. Second, your vocal tone. The reactive man's voice betrays him. Pitch rises when he is defensive. Volume increases when he is angry. Speed accelerates when he is anxious. His words might say one thing, but his voice says another. The mask controls vocal delivery. Lower pitch, not high. Slower pace, not rushed. Fewer words, not verbal overflow. No uptick at the end of sentences that turn statements into questions. No vocal fry that suggests uncertainty. This is the voice of authority, not because it is loud, but because it is steady. Practice. Record yourself speaking. Listen for the places where your voice reveals emotion. Or train those moments until your voice remains level, regardless of content. Third, your body language. The reactive man broadcasts through his body. He shifts weight when uncomfortable. He crosses his arms defensively. He leans back when threatened or forward when aggressive. He fidgets when nervous. Every movement is information being transmitted. The mask controls the body. Weight evenly distributed, not shifting. Posture open but not aggressive. Movements deliberate, not fidgeting. Stillness held without rigidity. This is grounded presence, the body of someone who is comfortable in space and unthreatened by the interaction. Fourth, your response timing. This is the signature of the mask. The pause before speaking. The reactive man responds immediately. The words are out of his mouth before he has considered them. But he is not choosing his response. He is being driven by impulse. The mask always pauses, 3 seconds minimum before any response that matters. This serves 2 purposes. It prevents reactive mistakes, and it signals to others that you are someone who considers before speaking, that you are not controlled by the urgency of the moment. These 4 elements, facial expression, vocal tone, body language, response timing, create the mask. When you wear the mask, others perceive you as calm, even if internally you are anything but. Why does this matter? Because when you act calm, others treat you as calm. Their treatment reinforces your state. This is a feedback loop that works in your favor. Think about how people respond to reactive behavior. They escalate, they pressure, they push harder. Reactivity invites more provocation. But when you appear calm, people modulate their approach. They lower their intensity to match yours. They become slightly more thoughtful in your presence. This is not just social nicety. This is biology. Human beings have mirror neurons that cause us to unconsciously mimic the emotional states we observe. Your displayed calm triggers their nervous systems toward calm. So the mask is not deception, it is leadership. You are leading the interaction toward calm through your physical presentation. But there is something deeper happening. There is a pathway from body to mind that most people do not understand. When you adopt calm physiology, you begin to produce calm psychology. Research shows that holding a power pose, shoulders back, chest open, for 2 minutes changes hormone levels. Testosterone increases, cortisol decreases. All the body position is creating the internal state. The same happens with the mask. When you hold the neutral face, the measured voice, the grounded body, the paused response, your nervous system begins to believe the performance. You are calm acting your way into being calm. This is not fake it until you make it. This is more profound. You are using your conscious control over your body to influence your unconscious emotional state. The mask is training for the mountain. Now let me tell you about the mountain. The mountain is internal discipline. Beyond controlling appearance, you become someone for whom calm is default. The mountain does not pretend. The mountain does not perform. The mountain simply is. How is the mountain built? Through the practices of the previous chapter, yes. The stillness training, the cold exposure, and the delayed response, the insult meditation, the fasting discipline, but also through deeper work. The mountain requires understanding your triggers and dissolving them at the root. Most reactivity is not about the present moment. It is about past wounds being touched. Someone criticizes your work and you explode, but you are not really reacting to this specific criticism. You are reacting to a lifetime of feeling not good enough. This criticism is just the trigger. The wound is old. Someone questions your authority and you become defensive. But you are not really reacting to this question. You are reacting to accumulated experiences of being dismissed or controlled. This moment touched something deeper. The mountain does the work of examining these patterns. Why does this specific provocation affect me? What old wound is being activated? What belief system makes this feel threatening? Then the harder work, dissolving the pattern, not suppressing it, not controlling it, actually dissolving it so it no longer has power. This might require therapy, it might require men's work, it might require deep personal reflection, different paths for different people. But the result is the same. The trigger that once controlled you no longer works. Not because you are controlling your reaction to it, but because it genuinely no longer triggers you. The mountain also requires building a core identity that external events cannot shake. Most reactivity comes from identity threat. When someone says you are incompetent, weak, worthless, whatever, they are making a statement about your identity. If your identity is dependent on external validation, or if you need others to confirm that you are competent, strong, worthy, then every challenge to that identity feels like an existential threat. But if your identity is internally validated, if you know who you are independent of what anyone says about you, then external commentary becomes weather. Weather passes through. It does not stick. It does not define the climate. The mountain knows who he is. He has done the work of defining his values, his character, his capabilities. He has evidence, internal evidence of these things. So when someone questions them, he does not need to defend. The question is about their perception, not about his reality. Here is a practice. Write down 5 things you know to be true about yourself that no one's words can change. Not things you hope are true, not things you want people to think. Things you know through direct evidence of your own actions and character. I am someone who keeps my word. You know this because you have tracked your commitments and your follow-through. Evidence, not hope. I am someone who shows up for people I care about. You know this because you can point to specific instances. Evidence, not aspiration. I am capable of learning difficult skills. You know this because you have done it before. Evidence, not theory. Build this list. These are your anchors. When external opinion tries to shift you, these anchors hold. This is the foundation of the mountain. Now here is how the mask and the mountain integrate. You begin with the mask. You practice controlling what others see. Neutral face, measured voice, grounded body, paused response. At first, this is effortful. You are performing calm while feeling chaos. You are white-knuckling your way through interactions. This is fine. This is the beginning. While you practice the mask, you simultaneously do the internal work of the mountain. You practice the stillness disciplines. You examine your triggers. You build internal validation. Over time, something shifts. The effort decreases. The mask becomes easier to wear. You find yourself naturally speaking in a measured tone, naturally pausing before response. The mask is becoming your face. Or rather, your face is growing to fit the mask. Eventually, there is no distinction between appearing calm and being calm. The external performance has transformed the internal state. The mask has become the mountain. This is not deception becoming authenticity. This is practice becoming mastery. The young warrior wears the mask of calm and hopes no one sees his fear. He is performing. The performance is legitimate training, but it is still performance. The mature warrior has worn the mask so long that it has fused to his face. There is less separation now between what he shows and what he feels. The performance has become more natural. The master has no mask because there is no separation between what he shows and what he is. He is the mountain. And mountains do not pretend to be unmovable, they simply are. But here is the critical warning: both are needed. The mask without the mountain is exhausting and eventually cracks. You cannot perform forever. The stress of maintaining appearance while internal chaos rages will break you. The mountain without the mask can be misread. Internal calm without external communication of that calm can come across as arrogance, disengagement, or coldness. You might be genuinely unmoved, but if your face, voice, and body do not communicate appropriate engagement, you create social problems. You need both: external discipline and internal stability, form and substance, mask and mountain. Start with the mask. It is more accessible. You can control your face today, even if your internal state takes years to settle. But do not stop with the mask. Do the deeper work, build the mountain. Because the goal is not performance. The goal is transformation. The goal is to become someone for whom calm is not something you do. It is something you are. This is the path the ancients walked. First, the discipline of external control, then the transformation of internal state, then the integration where external and internal become one. You can walk it too. Starting now. Part 3. The Warfare. Chapter 6. Psychological Combat. Every human interaction contains an invisible war. Not always, not with everyone, but more often than you think, there is a dominance negotiation occurring beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary exchanges. Who sets the frame? Who controls the rhythm? Who is reacting to whom? Most people are unconscious participants in this war. They are pushed and pulled by forces they do not see, manipulated by dynamics they do not understand. The man who responds to nothing sees the war clearly, and he has already won before a word is spoken. Let me show you what is actually happening in human interaction. Every exchange contains implicit questions being asked and answered through behavior, not words. Are you above me or below me in status? Can I control you or can you control me? Are you a threat or are you prey? Do you dominate or submit? These questions are not conscious, but they are constant, and they are answered through micro-behaviors that most people never notice. Who breaks eye contact first? The one who breaks first has implicitly acknowledged lower status. Who fills awkward silence? The one who cannot tolerate silence has revealed discomfort, which is weakness. Who changes position or adjusts their body? The one who fidgets has signaled nervousness. Who matches whose energy? If you escalate when they escalate and calm when they calm, they are setting your state. They are leading. You are following. And the reactive man answers these questions poorly. His every reaction broadcasts, "You can affect me. I am controllable. I am responsive to your provocations." His reactions scream, "You have power over me." The calm man's non-reaction answers differently. "You cannot reach me. I operate on a different level. Your provocations do not register as worthy of response." His stillness declares, "You have no power here." This is why calm wins psychological combat, not through aggression, through immunity. Let me teach you to recognize the attack patterns. Once you can see them, they lose most of their power. Attack. Pattern 1. The provocation. This is direct insult or challenge designed to trigger emotional response. That is a stupid idea. Are you sure you can handle this? I expected better from you. The goal is to make you defensive, angry, or submissive. Any emotional reaction confirms their power to affect you. Your void response. Offer nothing, return nothing, let it pass through empty space. If you must respond, respond to the content, not the tone. What specifically concerns you about the approach? You have ignored the provocation and redirected to substance. Attack pattern 2. Frame control. This is establishing assumptions you must accept to engage with the question or statement. So you admit that you made a mistake. The frame is that you made a mistake. If you engage with the question, you have accepted the frame. Why are you always defensive? The frame is that you are defensive. If you defend against the accusation, you confirm it. The goal is to trap you in a frame that disadvantages you. Your counter, reject the frame silently by not engaging with its assumptions, or name it explicitly. That question assumes something I do not accept. Attack pattern. 3. The pressure play. This is artificial urgency designed to prevent clear thinking. I need an answer now. We do not have time for you to think about this. Everyone else has already decided. The goal is to force you into a decision before you are ready, ideally a decision that serves them. Your counter. Slow down. I will give you an answer when I have made a decision. Their urgency is not your emergency. The person who can wait has power over the person who cannot. Attack. Pattern 4. The status move. This is subtle positioning designed to place you lower in the hierarchy. That is cute. A diminishing comment disguised as affection. Are you sure about that? Questioning your confidence or competence. I guess that is one way to look at it. Dismissing your perspective while maintaining plausible deniability. The goal is to establish them above you through these small cuts. Your counter, do not counter status. Do not try to reassert your position through similar moves. Simply continue as if the move did not occur. Non-acknowledgement is devastating. It says your status play does not register. You are not significant enough for me to engage with this. Attack pattern 5. The emotional hijack. This is displaying strong emotion to force you to manage their state. Sudden anger that fills the room. Tears that demand comfort. Panic that requires you to stabilize them. Despair that needs you to rescue them. And the goal is to make their emotional state your responsibility, which gives them control over your attention and energy. Your counter, let them have their emotion. Do not rescue them from it. I can see you are upset. I will wait. You are acknowledging without absorbing, witnessing without taking ownership. These are the 5 primary attack patterns in psychological combat. There are variations and combinations, but most manipulation attempts fall into these categories. Now let me show you the supreme counter strategy that works against all of them. Non-engagement. The greatest victory in psychological combat is refusing to enter combat. When you do not play the game, you cannot lose. When you do not accept the frame, you cannot be trapped in it. When you do not respond to provocation, you cannot be controlled through provocation. Your non-engagement is itself a statement. This is beneath me. You are not worth the response. This is not arrogance. This is strategic reality. Not every battle deserves your presence. Not every provocation merits acknowledgement. Not every challenge requires you to prove yourself. Most of the time, silence is the complete response. But you need to know when to engage. Engage when the stakes are real and affect your concrete interests. When there is something tangible on the line that silence would cost you. Engage when not responding would genuinely damage something you care about, not your ego, not your reputation among people whose opinion does not matter, but actual harm to real interests. Engage when you can do so without emotional activation. If you are angry, you are not ready. If you are defensive, you are not ready. If you feel compelled, you are not ready. Wait until you can respond from calm, from choice, from strategy. Then engage if engagement serves you. Here is the rule. If you are angry, you are not ready to engage. Wait until you can respond without reaction. This might mean walking away from the interaction temporarily. This might mean delaying the conversation until tomorrow. This might mean never returning to it because it was not actually important. But do not engage while activated. You will make mistakes. You will say things you cannot unsay. You will reveal information you should have protected. You will play into their hands. The greatest warriors avoided battle whenever possible, not from cowardice, from wisdom. They knew that every engagement carries risk. Every fight costs something even in victory. Resources spent, energy depleted, potential for error introduced. So they fought only when necessary, when the stakes justified the risk, when victory served strategic ends. The man who responds to nothing chooses his battles with surgical precision. He engages when he must, how he must, and never because someone else decided he should. This is mastery of psychological combat, not dominating others, but refusing to be dominated, not winning every exchange, but never being controlled through exchange. Your calm is your defense. Your non-response is your offense. Your selective engagement is your strategy. The reactive man fights every battle and exhausts himself. The calm man fights only the battles worth fighting and conserves his resources. Over a lifetime, the difference compounds into entirely different outcomes. One man is controlled by everyone willing to provoke him. The other man is controlled by no one. This is not about becoming cold or disconnected. This is about becoming sovereign. You can care about people, engage with ideas, participate in conflict when necessary. But you do it from choice, not compulsion. You are no longer a puppet with strings anyone can pull. You have removed the strings. This is dangerous calm. And those who try to manipulate you will learn to fear it. Not because you will hurt them, but because you will not give them what they need. You will not confirm their power through your reaction. You will not participate in their game. And without your participation, their power dissolves. This is victory in psychological combat, not domination. Liberation. Chapter 7. The people who cannot tolerate your calm. Something strange will happen when you begin practicing dangerous calm. Certain people will become hostile, not everyone, but specific people will escalate their behavior toward you in ways that seem irrational. Your peace will feel like an attack to them. Your silence will provoke them more than any words could. They will work harder to break your composure than they have worked at anything else. This is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. This is a sign that you are doing something right. You have become a mirror, and they do not like what they see. Let me explain why your calm triggers others. First, your non-reactivity exposes their reactivity. When everyone in a room is reactive, reactivity seems normal. It is the baseline. No one stands out. But when one person is calm while others are reactive, suddenly the reactive people look unstable by comparison. You are the control group that makes them look like the experimental variable. This is uncomfortable for them. They did not sign up to be compared to you. They were fine with their level of emotional regulation until you demonstrated that another level was possible. Your existence challenges their normal. Second, your peace implies a possibility they have rejected. Most people believe they are reactive because they have to be, because the world is overwhelming, because other people are difficult, because circumstances demand reaction. Your calm suggests something they do not want to face, that it is possible to not be controlled by external events. If you can remain calm under the same pressures they experience, then their reactivity is not necessary. It is chosen, or at minimum, it is something that could be unchosen with practice. This is threatening, because if their reactivity is not necessary, then they are responsible for it. And responsibility is harder than victimhood. So they attack your calm. If they can break it, they can prove it was false. And if it was false, they do not have to face the possibility that they could change. Third, your silence removes the feedback they depend on. Many people navigate relationships through constant feedback. They say something and watch your reaction to gauge where they stand. They test boundaries and read your responses to understand the relationship. When you do not react, they do not get this feedback. They do not know if they have affected you. They do not know where they stand. This uncertainty is intolerable for people who need to feel they have impact. So they escalate, trying to force a reaction that will give them the information they need. Fourth, some people are addicted to drama. Drama is stimulation, emotional intensity, feeling alive through conflict and chaos. Your calm is sobriety in a room full of addicts. You are not participating in the drama. You are not providing the emotional cocaine they crave. This makes you boring to them. And it also makes you a threat, because your presence suggests that life can be lived without the drama they thought was necessary. Now let me show you the escalation pattern. This is predictable. Knowing it helps you endure it. Stage 1. They provoke. You do not respond. Stage 2. They provoke harder. Assuming you did not understand the severity of the first provocation, you remain still. Stage 3. They escalate to extremes, accusations, ultimatums, emotional meltdowns, anything to get a reaction. Stage 4. You continue in calm. Stage 5. They either exhaust themselves and give up, or they remove themselves from your life. This pattern repeats with almost everyone who cannot tolerate your calm. The only variable is how long each stage lasts. Understanding this helps you not personalize it. They are not reacting to you specifically. They are reacting to their own inability to control you. Their escalation is not power. It is the opposite. It is loss of control disguised as intensity. Let me show you the 4 types who will test you. Type 1, the chaos dependent. This person feeds on drama, feels alive only in conflict, needs your reaction to feel normal. Calm relationships feel dead to them. Peaceful interactions feel boring. They will create problems just to generate the emotional intensity they are addicted to. How to handle: gray rock. Become boring. Starve them of the engagement they crave. Give them nothing to work with. Eventually, they will seek their drama elsewhere. Let them go. Type 2, the control addict. This person needs to affect others to feel significant. Needs to see that they can move you, change you, get inside your head. Your immunity threatens their entire identity. If they cannot control you, what power do they have? How to handle: maintain your position without escalation. My answer is the same. Repeat as needed. Do not engage with their attempts to make you defend your boundary. Your consistency will eventually bore or frustrate them into acceptance or departure. Type 3, the wound matcher. This person is in pain and wants you to match their pain. They interpret your calm as abandonment or judgment. How can you be calm when I am hurting? Your peace feels like you do not care. How to handle: brief empathy, then boundary. I understand you are hurting. I am not going to join you there. You can care without matching their emotional state. Refuse the invitation to drown with them. Type 4. The tester. This person actually respects you but must verify your stability before trusting it. They test to see if your calm is real or performance. They want to know if you will hold under pressure. How to handle, pass the test. Your consistency will eventually earn their respect. They are not trying to destroy your calm. They are trying to verify it. Once verified, they often become allies because they value what they tested. Now, here is the hard truth. Some relationships cannot survive your calm. Relationships built on your reactivity were never stable. They were built on your instability. When you remove that instability, the foundation disappears. The relationship has nothing left to stand on. This is information, not tragedy. The people who cannot tolerate your peace were never capable of genuine connection. They were only capable of familiar chaos. They needed you reactive because reactive you was controllable. Reactive you participated in the drama. Reactive you was accessible to their manipulation. Calm you is not controllable. Calm you does not participate in drama. Calm you is immune to manipulation, so they leave. Or they escalate until you create distance. Either way, you have discovered something valuable. This person was not meant to remain in your life. The people who remain after you become unmovable are the people who actually belong in your life. They are capable of relating to you from health, not just from familiar dysfunction. Let them self-select. Your calm is the filter. Now let me teach you how to protect your practice. Do not explain your calm. Explanations invite debate. They give others an opening to argue you out of your position. I am just not going to react anymore becomes a conversation about whether that is the right approach, about whether you are being cold, about whether you care. Do not enter this conversation. Your calm does not require explanation or defense. Do not defend your calm. Defense implies you owe justification for your emotional state. You do not. Your internal state is your sovereign territory. No one has the right to demand you explain or change it. When someone says, "Why are you being so cold?" or "You do not seem to care," resist the urge to defend. The answer, if you give one at all, is simple. I am calm. That is not coldness. Then stop. Do not elaborate. Do not justify. Do not apologize for your calm. Apology implies wrongdoing. Being calm is not wrong. Refusing to match others' chaos is not wrong. Maintaining your center while others lose theirs is not wrong. It is strength. Do not apologize for strength. Your only statement is your consistency. When they provoke, you remain calm. When they escalate, you remain calm. When they demand reaction, you remain calm. Over time, they learn. This person cannot be moved. This person will not participate. This person has drawn a line. They either respect the line or they remove themselves from your life. Either outcome is acceptable because what you are building is more valuable than relationships that require your instability to function. You are building sovereignty, internal governance, the capacity to remain unmoved regardless of external chaos. Some people will support this. They will recognize what you are becoming and honor it. Some people will not. They will attack it, mock it, test it, try to destroy it. Bless them, release them, continue. Your calm will cost you some people. Let them go. The ancients understood this. The path to mastery has always been narrow. Few walk it, fewer complete it. Those who cannot tolerate your calm are revealing themselves. They are showing you who was never really with you, who was only there as long as you remained controllable. Thank them for the clarity. Then let them go. You are becoming unmovable. Not everyone can exist in the presence of the unmovable. That is their limitation, not yours. Continue your practice. Guard your calm. Protect what you are building. The people who belong will remain. The people who do not will remove themselves. Trust the process. Part 4. The Transformation. Chapter 8. Becoming Unmovable. There comes a moment in the practice. It might take months. It might take years. But the moment arrives. A provocation lands. The kind that once would have destroyed your composure. The kind that used to trigger a cascade of defensive reactions, angry responses, hours of mental replay. And you feel nothing. Not suppression, not effortful control, not white-knuckling your way through it. Actual nothing. The stimulus passes through you like wind through an open window. You observe it without interest, process it without activation, move on without effort. In that moment, you understand something profound. You have not learned to control your reactions. You have dissolved the part of you that reacted. This is the transformation. This is what the ancients were pointing toward. Let me show you the 3 stages of mastery so you can map where you are. Stage 1. Effortful calm. You feel the reaction arising, the spike of anger, the defensive urge, the compulsion to respond. But you consciously interrupt it. You remember the practices. You implement the protocol. You choose non-response through discipline. This is hard. This requires constant vigilance. You are fighting your own biology, your conditioned patterns, your reactive habits. Most of your energy goes into not reacting. There is little left over for anything else. This is the beginning. This is where everyone starts. The characteristic of stage 1 is effort. You are working hard to achieve calm, white-knuckling through provocations, forcing yourself to pause when everything in you wants to respond. This stage is exhausting. Many quit here. They decide the effort is not worth it. They return to reactivity because it is easier. But if you persist through stage 1, you reach stage 2. Stage 2. Automatic calm. The interruption becomes reflexive. You still feel the initial spike of emotion. The provocation registers. The old pattern begins to activate. But now, before conscious thought, the pause kicks in. Your trained response overrides your automatic response. You are no longer fighting for every moment of non-reaction. The protocol has become automatic. The muscle memory has developed. This requires less effort. You are still aware of the provocations. You still feel the temptation to react. But the calm response is trained. It is happening before you have to decide to make it happen. The characteristic of stage 2 is automaticity. The practices have become reflexes. You are calm without having to work as hard for it. Most people who persist reach stage 2 and think they have arrived. This is good enough. Calm is accessible. Life is better. But there is a 3rd stage, and it is qualitatively different. Stage 3. Natural calm. In the spike diminishes or disappears entirely. Provocations that once triggered strong emotional reactions now produce mild interest or nothing at all. Calm is not something you achieve. It is your baseline, your default state. Provocation is processed as information, not as threat. You hear the insult, and instead of feeling angry, you feel curious about what drove them to say it. You face the crisis, and instead of feeling panic, you feel engaged with the problem solving. You are not controlling your reactions. The reactions are not arising in the first place. This is mastery. This is the natural calm the ancients described. The characteristic of stage 3 is effortlessness. You are not trying to be calm. You are calm. How do you know you are reaching stage 3? There are signs. First, situations that once triggered you now seem almost amusing. You can see the manipulation attempt. You can recognize the provocation pattern, and it strikes you as almost childish. Not with contempt, with gentle amusement, the way an adult views a child throwing a tantrum. You are not threatened. You are just observing behavior. Second, you can observe others' reactivity without judgment. You see them lose their temper, become defensive, spiral into anxiety, and instead of judging them, you recognize what you once were. You have compassion because you remember what it was like to be controlled by reactions. You know how hard it is to build the capacity for calm, so you do not judge their reactivity. You just notice it. Third, your recovery time from genuine upsets drops dramatically. In stage 1, a major provocation might disturb you for days. In stage 2, hours. In stage 3, minutes. You still feel things, but the feeling does not have the same grip. It does not burrow in and make a home. It passes through. Fourth, people begin to comment on your stability, sometimes with admiration, sometimes with resentment, but they notice. You are always so calm. Nothing bothers you. I wish I could be like that. They are seeing the transformation you have built. Fifth, you find yourself gravitating toward calm people and situations, not because you cannot handle chaos, but because you prefer peace. The drama that once felt exciting now feels exhausting. The intensity that once felt alive now feels unnecessary. You have developed a taste for calm, and once you taste it, the appetite for chaos diminishes. These are the external signs, but there are internal shifts that matter more. First, identity stabilization. Who you are is no longer up for debate based on others' opinions. In stage 1, someone questions your competence and you spiral into doubt. Maybe they are right. Maybe I am not good at this. In stage 3, someone questions your competence and you consult your evidence. Have I demonstrated competence? Yes. Then their question is about their perception, not about my reality. Your identity is internally validated. External commentary is interesting data, sometimes useful but never definitive. Second, time perspective shifts. Most provocations fail the will this matter in a year test. In stage 1, you do not have this perspective. Everything feels urgent, important, requiring immediate response. In stage 3, you automatically place events on a timeline. This frustration will be forgotten in 3 days. This insult will be irrelevant in a month. This crisis will be resolved or replaced in a year. You respond with energy proportional to actual significance. Most provocations get almost no energy because they are not actually significant. Third, you recognize that reaction costs energy you would rather spend elsewhere. In stage 1, you react automatically and pay the price later. Hours of mental replay, stress, exhaustion, but you do not connect the reaction to the cost. In stage 3, you see the energy economy clearly. Every reaction has a price. Is this worth that price? Almost always no. So you conserve, not from weakness, from wisdom. You have limited energy. You choose carefully where to invest it. Fourth, you see provocations as categories, not personal attacks. In stage 1, every insult feels personal. They are attacking me. In stage 3, you recognize patterns. This is a dominance display. This is insecurity being projected. This is a tester checking my stability. You are not taking it personally because you understand it is not personal. It is a pattern playing out. You happen to be the current recipient, but you are not the cause. Fifth, compassion emerges naturally. In stage 1, reactive people irritate you. They seem weak or dramatic or frustrating. In stage 3, reactive people look wounded. You can see the pain beneath the reaction, the unhealed trauma, the unprocessed emotion, the lack of tools. You do not judge, you recognize, because you remember what it was like before you had the tools. In this shift from judgment to compassion is one of the deepest signs of transformation. Now let me tell you what you gain through this transformation. Clarity. Without the fog of emotional reaction, you see situations as they actually are. Not as your fear interprets them, not as your anger distorts them, as they are. This clarity leads to better decisions, better strategy, better outcomes, power. The ability to not respond is the ability to choose. And choice is the root of all agency. The reactive man has no choice. He is compelled. The calm man chooses everything. This is power. Trust. People trust those who are consistent, who do not fly off the handle, who remain stable under pressure. Over time, your reputation for stability becomes one of your most valuable assets. People seek you out. They rely on you. They promote you because they trust you. Longevity, chronic stress kills, high cortisol, elevated blood pressure, weakened immune system, accelerated aging. The reactive life is a short life. The calm life extends both years and quality of those years. Peace, not the peace of avoidance, not the peace of numbness. The peace of genuine non-disturbance. You are not calm because you are hiding from life. You are calm because you have faced life fully and built the capacity to remain centered through it. This is the peace the ancients promised, and it is real. But let me also tell you what you release. The illusion that your reactions protect you. They do not. Most of your reactions create more problems than they solve. You are not safer when reactive. You are more vulnerable. The belief that expression is necessary for processing emotion. It is not. You can feel fully without expressing reactively. In fact, you process more cleanly when you do not immediately externalize. The habit of giving others control over your internal state. When you react, you have handed them the remote control to your emotions. They push buttons. You respond. This is slavery. When you become calm, you take the remote back. No one controls your state but you. The identity of the reactive person. This might be the hardest release, because for many people, their reactivity is part of how they see themselves. I am just passionate. I just care a lot. I speak my mind. These are identity claims built around reactivity. Releasing them requires admitting that the identity was not serving you, that it was not strength, it was unprocessed pain disguised as personality. This release is grief. Let yourself grieve. You are letting go of a version of yourself. Even if that version was limiting you, it was familiar. Loss is loss. Then move forward. The new identity is stronger, more sovereign, more free. One final thing, mastery is not a destination, it is a direction. Even at stage 3, you will have moments, provocations that land, days where your calm is harder to access, situations that push you toward reaction. The difference is you recover quickly. You recognize what happened, you return to center, and you learn continuously. Every challenge is information. Every slip is feedback. You are always refining, always deepening, always practicing. The ancient masters practiced until death. Not because they never achieved mastery, but because mastery is a practice, not a possession. So will you. You came to this teaching reactive, disturbed, controlled by external events. You leave it with a choice you did not have before. The choice to respond or not. The choice of when, how, and if to engage. The choice of what affects you and what passes through. This is the only freedom that matters. Everything else is negotiable. This is not. Guard it. Practice it. Become it. The world needs men who cannot be moved. You are becoming one of them. Chapter 9. The quiet dominion, return with me to the samurai lord from the beginning, the one who received news of the Mongol invasion while practicing calligraphy. History records that the Mongol fleet was destroyed by a typhoon, a massive storm that the Japanese would later call kamikaze, the divine wind. But the samurai lord did not know this storm was coming when he calmly called for his armor. His composure was not based on knowledge of rescue. His peace was not contingent on favorable outcomes. It was based on something deeper, something that transcends circumstance, an understanding that his inner state was not dependent on external events, that he would face the invasion with the same stillness whether he lived or died, that his peace was sovereign and nothing could touch it without his permission. That stillness was his victory regardless of what followed. The Mongols who survived the storm and returned to the mainland reported something that disturbed them more than the battle itself. They did not speak of the fierceness of Japanese combat, though it was fierce. They did not speak of the tactical brilliance, though it was brilliant. They spoke of the terrifying calm of men who seemed to have already accepted death, warriors who could not be intimidated because they were not attached to survival, fighters who moved with perfect composure because fear no longer lived in them. This disturbed the Mongols more than any weapon could, because they had encountered something they had never seen before. Men who had achieved complete sovereignty over themselves. Men who operated from a throne of internal peace that external chaos could not reach. This is the quiet dominion. Sovereignty over the self so complete that external circumstances become secondary, not irrelevant. Secondary. Everything in this audiobook has led to this final teaching. You are not just learning techniques, you are building a kingdom. The kingdom of your own mind. In this kingdom, you are sovereign. Nothing enters without your permission. Nothing disturbs without your consent. This is not isolation. This is not withdrawal. This is not becoming cold or disconnected. You engage the world fully. You care deeply. You participate completely. But you engage from a throne, not from a cage. Let me teach you the 5 principles of the dominion. Principle 1, non-contingency. Your peace does not depend on others' behavior. Your calm does not require favorable circumstances. Your stability is not conditional on outcomes going your way. This is hard to build because we are trained to believe that peace comes from external arrangement. If I can just get this person to change, then I will be at peace. If this situation resolves, then I will be calm. If I achieve this outcome, then I will be settled. This is backwards. This is prison. Because you have made your internal state dependent on external factors you cannot control. You have become a hostage to circumstance. The quiet dominion is built on non-contingency. I am at peace regardless. I am calm whether or not the situation resolves. I am stable whether I win or lose, not because outcomes do not matter, but because my inner state is not determined by outcomes. This is freedom. Principle 2, selective engagement. You choose what receives your attention, your energy, your response. Not everything deserves engagement. Not every provocation merits acknowledgement. Not every crisis requires your participation. The reactive man engages with everything because he cannot help it. He is compelled. He lacks discernment between what matters and what does not. The sovereign man is selective. This deserves my energy. This does not. I will engage here. I will not engage there. This is not avoidance. This is strategy. You have limited resources. You allocate them deliberately. Principle 3, internal validation. Your worth is settled. External opinion is interesting but not authoritative. You know who you are. You have evidence of your character. You have demonstrated your capabilities. You have lived your values. Others' perceptions of you are their perceptions. not reality. Perception. You can consider their feedback. You can learn from their observations. But their words do not define you. Their judgments do not determine your value. You are internally validated. The throne from which you rule your kingdom is not dependent on the approval of those outside the kingdom. This is sovereignty. Principle 4. Compassionate distance. You can care for others without being controlled by them. You can love without being manipulated. You can engage without being consumed. This is not coldness. This is the opposite. This is love mature enough to maintain boundaries. You care deeply, but you do not let their chaos become your chaos. You are present for them, but you do not abandon yourself to rescue them. You can hold space for someone's pain without drowning in it with them. You can witness their struggle without making it your own. This is compassionate distance, close enough to care, far enough to remain sovereign. Principle 5. Patient power. Time is your ally. You do not need to rush. You do not need immediate results. You do not need instant validation. Your position strengthens through stillness, through consistency, through patient commitment to your principles. The reactive man needs to act now, win now, prove himself now. This urgency is weakness disguised as passion. The sovereign man can wait, can endure, can remain committed to his path regardless of how long it takes. This patience is power, because the person who can wait outlasts the person who cannot. These are the 5 principles: non-contingency, selective engagement, internal validation, compassionate distance, patient power. These are not things you do. These are ways of being. You build them through practice, through daily implementation, through choosing them again and again until they become who you are. Let me show you what living the dominion looks like. In the morning, you do not check your phone first. You do not allow the external world to set your state before you have established your kingdom. You establish yourself first. Meditation. Breathing. The practices that center you. You build the throne before you allow subjects into the throne room. In conversation, you listen fully, not waiting to speak, not formulating responses while they talk, actually listening, but you speak from center, never from reaction, never from compulsion. Your words come from choice, from sovereignty, from the throne. In conflict, you address what requires addressing. You do not avoid. You do not hide, but you engage from calm, on your timeline, when you are ready. Not when they demand, not when pressure mounts. When you have decided engagement serves you. In success, you receive it without attachment. You are pleased. You acknowledge the achievement. But you do not make it the source of your peace, because your peace was there before the success. It will remain after the success. Success is weather passing through the kingdom. Pleasant weather, but still just weather. In failure, you process it without collapse. You feel the disappointment. You examine what went wrong. You learn. You adjust. But you do not internalize failure as identity. You do not let one outcome define your worth. Failure is information. Painful information sometimes, but just information. In life, you move through the world as a visitor who enjoys the scenery but is not desperate to stay. You appreciate beauty. You engage with people. You participate in experiences. But you hold it all lightly because you know you are passing through. This is temporary. All of it is temporary. So you enjoy without clinging. You love without possessing. You engage without requiring it to be permanent. This is the quiet dominion in practice. Now let me tell you about the ripple effect. Your dominion affects everyone you encounter, not through what you say, through what you are. In your presence, others become slightly calmer, slightly more centered, slightly more capable of accessing their own sovereignty. This is not something you try to do. This is something you emanate. The calm radiates. The stability transfers. You become a source of peace in an unstable world. People do not always understand why they feel better around you. They just know they do. This is service. This is contribution. This is how the ancient masters healed the world without trying. They built their kingdom so thoroughly that the peace overflowed. Oh, it blessed everyone who entered their presence. You can do this too. You are doing it already if you have been practicing, and it will deepen as your practice deepens. The sovereignty will radiate further. The calm will spread wider. This is not ego. This is the natural result of internal mastery. Peace propagates. Calm is contagious. Now hear the final invitation. This audiobook is not information. It is an invitation into a different way of being. The practices are not suggestions. They are pathways, maps left by those who walked before you. The ancient masters walked this path. The Stoic emperors, the samurai warriors, the desert monks. Every tradition that valued sovereignty over self-produced maps. These maps point to the same destination, the quiet dominion. At the kingdom of your own mind where you rule with absolute authority. You have received the map. Now walk. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Not when circumstances are favorable. Now. Because the path does not wait. The kingdom does not build itself. The sovereignty does not arrive as a gift. You build it. Practice by practice. Choice by choice. Moment of non-reaction by moment of non-reaction, until the moments accumulate into days, the days into months, the months into transformation, until you realize one morning that you have changed, that the provocations that once controlled you no longer reach you, that you have built something unshakable, the quiet dominion. Final words now. Receive them as the blessing they are meant to be. Respond to nothing, not because the world is not worth responding to, but because your response is sacred, and the sacred should not be squandered on the trivial. Respond to nothing, not because you cannot feel, but because you choose when feeling becomes action. And that choice is the essence of power. Respond to nothing. Not as withdrawal from life, but as the ultimate engagement with it, on your terms, from your center, with your sovereignty intact. This is the ancient art. This is the dangerous calm. This is what you are becoming. The men who could not be moved built empires, changed civilizations, healed communities, transformed everyone they touched, not through force, through presence, through the quiet dominion that radiated from their unshakable centers. You are joining their ranks. Go now. Say nothing. Do nothing that is not chosen. Become everything that sovereignty promises. All the quiet dominion awaits. Build it. That's the end of this audiobook, but your education doesn't stop here. If this resonated with you, if you actually listened to the end instead of just skimming, you're exactly who Night School is built for. Hit subscribe. We drop a new audiobook every week, philosophy, psychology, the kind of knowledge that compounds over years, not days. The algorithm's going to try to distract you with something easier. Don't let it. Click that next video. Keep learning. This is Night School Audio. Class is never dismissed.